The Washington Open draw was released, and within minutes, one headline spread across social media. Alex Eala could face defending champion Leylah Fernandez. Exciting, dramatic, and instantly, it became the story everyone wanted to tell. But after actually studying the draw, I came away with a completely different conclusion. Because before Alex Eala can even think about a showdown with the defending champion, she first has to survive one of the toughest opening matches in the entire tournament. And strangely, almost nobody is talking about it. Here's what makes this so fascinating. The biggest obstacle in Alex's path isn't waiting later in the week. It's standing directly across the net in round 1. An Olympic gold medalist. A player whose ranking doesn't tell the whole story. A player with absolutely nothing to lose. And that's exactly why this draw is far more dangerous than it looks on paper. But there's another reason this week feels different. It comes down to a single number. 70. Not $70,000. Not 70 wins. Just 70 ranking points. At first glance, that number seems meaningless. In reality, it could quietly reshape the next chapter of Alex Eala's career. Here's why. Professional tennis doesn't just reward what you do today. Every player also carries the results they earned 12 months ago. Think of it like a backpack you carry into every tournament. Some players walk in loaded with hundreds of points they must defend, lose early, and those points vanish. Suddenly, their ranking starts sliding backward. Alex Eala arrives in Washington carrying almost nothing. Last year, her North American hardcourt season was cut short by injuries, which means she isn't protecting a mountain of points. She's building one. Every win this summer is pure progress. Every match pushes her towards something bigger than a single trophy. And that's exactly what makes Washington so important. This isn't just another stop on the calendar, it's the opening chapter of the entire North American swing. Washington leads into Toronto, Toronto leads into Cincinnati, and Cincinnati leads straight into the US Open. Players don't just compete here, they build momentum. They find confidence. Sometimes they completely change the direction of their entire season. Alex arrives in Washington at a career-high ranking. She's coming off the best stretch of tennis she's ever played. The confidence is real. The expectations are rising. But there's one problem. Washington only protects 8 seeded players. Alex isn't one of them. And that single detail changes everything. Because being unseeded means the draw offers zero protection. The computer can drop almost anyone into your path. Grand Slam champions, former world number ones, Olympic champions, anyone, and that's exactly what happened. Instead of a manageable opener, Alex drew one of the most dangerous floating players in the entire field, Zheng Qinwen. If you're only looking at rankings, this matchup might not seem extraordinary. But rankings rarely tell the full story. Champions returning from injury are often the most dangerous opponents in any tournament. They aren't seeded. Nobody expects them to win. But they still carry the exact weapons that once made them champions. That makes them unpredictable. That makes them fearless. And that makes them brutally difficult to face in the very first round. For Alex, this isn't just about winning one match. It's about immediately proving that everything we've seen over the past few months wasn't a temporary hot streak. Because let's be honest, the tennis world has watched Alex Eala rise at incredible speed. Big victories, historic milestones, career-high ranking. But every breakthrough creates a new question. Can you do it again? Can you perform when expectations are suddenly much higher? Can you carry momentum onto a completely different surface? Washington is where those questions finally start getting answered. And that's exactly why I think everyone is focused on the wrong match. The Fernandez storyline is exciting, but it only exists if Alex survives Monday. Nothing else matters until then, because standing between Alex Eala and one of the biggest matches of the tournament is a player with championship experience, Olympic confidence, and absolutely no pressure to lose. And once you understand what happened the last time these two players shared a court, this opening round suddenly becomes a lot more interesting. So who exactly is standing in Alex Eala's way? Zheng Qinwen. At first glance, it might look like just another first-round match. It isn't. This is an Olympic gold medalist, a player who has already handled the biggest stages in tennis. She knows exactly what pressure feels like, and more importantly, she knows how to win when the stakes are highest. That alone makes this one of the toughest opening tests in the whole draw. But here's the part that makes it even more interesting. These two players already know each other, not from the Tour, from years earlier. Back at the 2023 Asian Games, Alex Eala was still a teenager chasing one of the biggest wins of her young career. Zheng was already a rising star and walked in as the overwhelming favorite. The opening set went exactly as expected. Zheng controlled the pace. She attacked first. She barely let Alex settle into the match. It looked like it would be over quickly. Then, everything changed. Instead of folding, Alex started fighting for every single point. She extended rallies. She trusted her backhand. She made Zheng earn every game. Little by little, the momentum shifted. A routine win suddenly turned into a real battle. Alex eventually came up short. But that match revealed something bigger than the final score. It proved she belonged on the same court as elite players. That day wasn't the end of a match. It was the beginning of a belief. Fast forward to today, and everything about the situation has changed. Back then, Alex had nothing to lose. Now she arrives ranked among the world's best. She's beaten Grand Slam champions. She's made history for Philippine tennis. And for the first time in her career, people aren't asking whether she belongs. They're asking how far she can go. That sounds like pure progress. But success drags in a different kind of pressure. When you're the surprise story, every win feels like a bonus. When expectations rise, every match suddenly feels like a test. That's exactly where Alex stands walking into Washington. She isn't chasing respect anymore. She's defending it. And that's why this first-round match feels so unpredictable. Both players have real reasons to believe they can win. Zheng has experience. Alex has momentum. Zheng has Olympic-level confidence. Alex has the confidence that comes from beating some of the biggest names in the sport. Neither woman is walking onto that court intimidated, which means the smallest details could decide everything. Who serves better under pressure? Who handles the biggest moments? Who stays calm when the match inevitably tightens up? Those questions matter far more than ranking. First-round matches are rarely won on paper. They're won by whoever adjusts faster. And there's one more factor nobody should ignore. This will be Alex's first competitive hard-court tournament since spring. Grass rewarded her aggressive style perfectly. Hard courts ask slightly different questions. The bounce is different. The movement is different. The timing shifts completely. Finding that rhythm again won't happen automatically. It has to be earned. But here's something that should give Alex's fans real confidence. Some of the biggest wins of her career have come on hard court. She's already proven she can beat world-class opponents on this exact surface when she's playing with belief. So the real question isn't whether she can play on hard courts. It's whether she can instantly rediscover that level after months away. And that's what makes Monday so fascinating. It's more than round one. It's the answer to one of the biggest questions surrounding Alex Eala's entire season. Can she carry her incredible momentum from grass onto hard court? Because if the answer is yes, everything changes. The conversation shifts completely. Alex stops being just a rising talent. She becomes a legitimate threat to anyone left in the draw, including the defending champion waiting in the next round. But before anyone gets ahead of themselves, one obstacle still remains, and it might be the toughest one of all. Because if Alex survives Zheng Qinwen, the reward isn't an easier match. It's a meeting with the reigning Washington champion, Leylah Fernandez, a player Alex has faced before, a player with her own story, and a matchup that carries something bigger than tennis itself. That's where this tournament takes an emotional turn, and that's exactly where our story continues. If Alex Eala gets past Zheng Qinwen, the reward isn't relief. It isn't a lighter draw. It could be a meeting with the defending Washington champion, Leylah Fernandez. And that's where this tournament stops being only about tennis. Most headlines have framed this as the Philippines against Canada. That's only half the truth. Leylah Fernandez has proudly spoken about her Filipino heritage throughout her career. Her mother is Filipino, and wherever she plays across North America, Filipino fans are almost always there cheering her on. Now picture the atmosphere if she faces Alex Eala. Two players connected by the same heritage, two athletes representing two different different nation, one court, one spot in the next round. That's not just another tennis match. That's a moment millions of fans would remember for years. But here's something most people have completely overlooked. If these two meet in Washington, it won't be their first encounter this season. They've already played each other earlier this year. That history matters. Players remember patterns. They remember pressure points. They remember exactly what worked and what didn't. Both women would walk onto that court carrying information the other didn't have last time, which means this wouldn't just be another match. It would be an adjustment, a chess match, a chance to prove who has grown the most since their last meeting. But before looking too far ahead, let's step back and see the bigger picture. Because Washington isn't the finish line, it's the beginning. After this tournament comes Toronto, then Cincinnati, then the biggest prize of the entire North American summer, the US Open. And that's where all of this starts making real sense. Right now, Alex isn't only chasing wins, she's chasing history. If she stays inside the world's top 32 before the US Open seeding deadline, she becomes the first Filipina ever to earn a seed at the US Open. Sit with that for a second. For decades, Filipino tennis fans dreamed of watching one of their own compete deep into a Grand Slam. Now they're watching someone fight for a place among the tournament's protected seed. That's not just a statistic. That's a milestone for an entire nation. And here's exactly why every single match matters. Being seeded isn't just about prestige. It changes your entire path through a tournament. It gives you a real chance of avoiding the highest-ranked players in the opening round. Sometimes, that one advantage is the difference between an early exit and the deepest Grand Slam run of your career. That's why Washington carries so much weight. Every ranking point earned this week could shape Alex's opportunities for the rest of the season. And looking at her recent form, there's every reason to believe she's ready. Over the past few months, she's proven she can compete with the very best. She's beaten elite opponents, she's handled massive crowds, she's embraced pressure instead of running from it. More importantly, she's shown real growth. Earlier in her career, close matches often slipped through her fingers. Now she finds ways to close them out. Earlier, beating one top player felt like a shock upset. Now she's stacking multiple big wins in the same tournament. That's how careers actually change, not in one magical moment, through consistent, quiet progress. Of course, none of that guarantees anything this week. Tennis doesn't work that way. Every tournament starts at zero. Every player gets the same blank page. Every favorite can lose. Every underdog can shock the world. That's exactly what makes this sport so compelling. One single afternoon can completely rewrite the conversation. And maybe that's why Washington feels different this time. Alex Eala arrives without the weight of defending hundreds of ranking points. She arrives with confidence, with momentum, with belief. But she also arrives knowing that every win opens another door, another opportunity, another piece of history waiting just around the corner. So when she walks onto that court for the first time this week, she isn't simply trying to survive another tournament. She's trying to prove that everything we've watched over the last several months is only the beginning. Because great seasons aren't remembered for one famous win. They're remembered for the exact moment consistency replaced potential. Maybe that moment arrives in Washington. Maybe it comes later this summer. Nobody knows yet. But one thing is certain. This tournament will tell us whether Alex Eala is simply enjoying a breakthrough year or whether she's turning into one of the sport's genuine rising stars. And honestly, that's the real story here. Not just who she might face next, not just the headline, but whether this remarkable journey is ready for its next chapter. We'll find out soon enough.